What's going on, y'all? Bobby G, aka Bobby Bookworm, with another book review. These have been coming out in pretty quick succession of late. This book, I gotta tell y'all, I devoured this book in less than a week. Partly because it's not super big, but also it is a testimony. I have read so many books about the Middle Eastern conflict. I've read so many testimonies about Middle East believers. But this one, Once an Arafat Man, the true story of how a PLO sniper found a new life. By Tass, with Dean Merrill, forward by Joel Rosenberg. Now y'all need to understand something about this book and just about how significant Joel Rosenberg is to doing the foreword of this book, because I want you to kind of understand the power of this book. The guy who did the foreword, Joel Rosenberg, former aide to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Saada, or Tassir, as his full first name is, once a PLO sniper and driver for Yasser Arafat. Could not be any more different. Could not be more opposite. And yet Joel Rosenberg did the foreword for this book. That off the top, knowing the differences between these two, and now they're buddy, you know, dapping it up, shaking hands, hugging, and all of that. You know, that by itself should, to me, be reason enough to consider reading this book. By itself. Especially when Tass's nickname in Arabic was Jazar, which is Arabic for butcher. That's how he was. Not anymore, but I mean, this guy knows so much, it's crazy. You know, I mean, this story is wild. This man's story is crazy. I mean, his story of being born in Gaza, specifically being born in Jaffa, or Jaffa, as it's better known, going to Saudi Arabia, and then later to Qatar. You know, son of a father who had a very successful automobile business, grandson of a father who originally owned an orange grove up until the independence of the state of Israel. You know, and he not only gives a testimony to his own story about how he became a believer and how he himself came at peace. He has spoken through the gospel and has spoken through the good book in terms of how to bring Jews and Palestinians to peace. And not just Jews and Palestinians, but Jews and Arabs as a whole to peace. I know we have the Abraham Accords that happened recently and all of that, but I'll tell you something. This is not like any book I have ever read with regards to either Middle Eastern people coming to faith, which there have been Christians in the Middle East as long as Christianity itself has existed, but this is something totally different as far as modern takes go. This is a book where I laughed, I cried, I was absolutely floored by the stuff I was reading. I don't want to give the whole book away because it is just one of those books. I know I recommend books on here in time. I know I've done a lot of book reviews, but this book though, I cannot tell y'all the number of times I had to stop and do mental gymnastics on a just basic logic level and even on a spiritual level. Mind you, I've been walking with God now for 21 and a half years, coming on 22 this fall. Okay, I've been walking with God 2 decades plus. Rarely, if ever, am I floored and dumbfounded and dumbstruck by a book with regards to both the biggest conflict in the world there ever is to this day, and with regards to faith. I'm telling y'all, you will not find a book like this outside the Bible. Now, obviously, the Bible is the book of books. doubt, no denial as I see it. Like, the Bible is the book of books. That being said, testimony-wise, rarely if ever do I ever get a book that has me just dumbstruck. Where I'm just looking at it and all I can say is, look at God. Won't he do it? This is one of those books. I promise you. If you doubt me, check this book out. Read it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I'm amped and I'm pumped. I'm hyped. I'm charged, however you want to put it, when it comes to this book. But I'm telling y'all, this is a book you will not find easily, and you won't be left the same person if you read it. Especially if you're open to really reading it openly and objectively and just taking it for what it is. I promise you that. I have to give a lot of respect as a Messianic Jew to Tass, to his family, his wife Karen, his 2 kids, Ben and Farah. This isn't, I've never, especially, mind you, for me to speak this of someone who is a Palestinian believer and their former story. I mean, it says right on the cover, the true story of how a PLO sniper found new life. For me to say that and give high praise to God for this man is no small thing, especially if you know the history of the conflict. I will tell you all, read this book. Read this book. Y'all gotta check out this book. Again, don't just take my word for it. Read it for yourselves. And read it all the way through, including the foreword by Joel Rosenberg. Because I tell y'all, what God has done through this man and his family is nothing short of a miracle. I promise you that. I do not have enough words to talk up this book. All I can say is you have to check it out, you have to read it, and you have to read it with your own eyes. And just just allow your mind to go there, to see the story, to see where he was, and everything he went through, and everything he's done, and everything that God has done in his life. Check it out, read it for yourself. Again, just leave your mind open and just let the Lord work. Because you will not be the same person after you read this book. I promise you that. I really don't know what else to say. Except again, grace and peace to Tass and his family. I hope that maybe someday he gets to read this or hear about this on video of this review that I give of his book. And maybe I'll hear from him someday. I don't know. We shall see. But Tass, thank you. Shalom Aleichem. Salam Aleikum to you and your house. In the name of Yeshua al-Masih. And I hope that peace finds everyone who reads this book. Not just in terms of belief, but in terms of the story in and of itself, for its own sake. This is my book review. This is probably the most amped book review that I have ever given. But I really encourage you to check it out. Grace and peace to all. Hopefully I'll see you at the next review. Peace.